Hi everyone. Yes, I'm Natalie Way. I head up the Waste Electricals team within the Circular Economy Directorate. And if you could just hop on one more slide, please. So yes, we're talking to you today about an upcoming piece of legislation. We consulted on the waste electrical regulations at this back end of 2023, and two of the key interventions that received huge support from industry were online marketplaces becoming producers and for creating a new category for vapes. So what this means in the first instance for online marketplaces, any online marketplace will now become a producer. So that means that where they have overseas sellers placing products onto their marketplace and selling them into the UK, they will now be responsible for ensuring that the end of life management of those products is funded, is paid for, rather than it being picked up by UK-based businesses. The reason this was an issue is because the regulating agencies have no jurisdiction for companies based overseas. So this is to sort of try and close that loophole and ensure that there's a really fair and equitable cost treatment for that end-of-life management of waste that appears in the UK for electronic products. The second change is to create a new category for vapes. So at present, vapes sit within category 7 of the waste electronic regulations, and that means that they sit with toys and leisure equipment. This is a kind of a hangover from the early days of waste electronic regulations, where vapes, they just didn't exist like they do today. So we are now trying to address that by creating a new category, and what this will mean is that vape producers pay for the end of life management of their own products. It's really important because vapes are really difficult to recycle. Often it has to be done by hand, and they contain challenging substances such as nicotine. So we just want to make sure that that treatment cost is as fair as it can be. The new legislation was debated in the House of Commons last week. The Lords debate is expected next week on the 15th of July, and then the legislation, should it all go through smoothly, which we expect that it should, that will come into force the week commencing the 5th of August. If we could just go on to the next slide. I will just run through quickly what that means in practice for online marketplaces first, and then vapes secondly. So all producers must register with a producer compliance scheme. That's across all product types, not just online marketplaces. So any online marketplaces who now are producers, they will be required to register by the 15th of November this year, and then annually. They will be required to report data this year from the coming into force. As I said, we anticipate that'll be the week commencing the 5th of August. So they will be required to report data from that point until the end of the year. And then regulators, so the PCS will allocate their costings for the treatment of just those products placed on the market in the latter half of 2025. There onwards, online marketplaces will be required to submit that data on a quarterly basis. So that's in line with all other producers. If we could move on to the next slide, thank you very much. So for vape producers, it's similar. We're splitting the year according to when the regulations come into force. So up until that point, vape producers will be reporting their data under category 7, and thereafter they will be reporting under, category 7.1 thereafter. So their costs and allocation will come in a year following those dates, and their fees will only be for category 7 for the first part of the year, category 7.1 for the second part of the year. There onwards, it will be for category 7.1. There will be guidance issued on all of this by the Environment Agency. That's forthcoming. We expect it around the same sort of date as the coming into force. That is the update. If there are any questions, please do let me know.